see that we are appearing live again now. So we are going to try to give our best impression of how this chat went the first time. I explained to everybody that I was concerned that our desktop live may not work this time, and my fears came to fruition because the connection failed us, and this is now our second stab at this. Anyway, I made a joke about our Peter situation. We had previously invited a different Peter to come on the show, but figured all Peters are more or less the same thing. So we've got Peter Murphy instead. If you want to briefly introduce yourself or anything you're working on, Peter.
Sure. Wait a second. You invited another Peter? Okay. Anyway, okay. Introductions. Okay. Hello. My name is Peter, and I'm a writer on Medium. I also do the Substack. I used to do a show with Philip Uglé every week, and then I took a break for a month, and now I'm back, and I'm talking about movies with Ben and Walter. And I didn't have time to tell Ben that I haven't watched a movie in 6 months, but hey, here we go.
When I knew you were coming on, I said we'd be talking about RoboCop again. So let me just
Oh
apologize.
yeah, that's how we talk about RoboCop, Star Wars, and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We always talk about that. But thanks for the patience, everybody. I hope you found us. If you were on the other live, I don't know. Did you guys see when I was performing the Nutcracker? I don't know if you got to see that at all. I was doing that, and then I just cut out. So it's just sort of like that's having, I got the hook. That's the way that goes in life sometimes. But it's a relief to get to Thursday and talk about movies. These weeks are just exhausting. Every single week is the same. So I'm looking forward to this. What are you thinking, Ben?
The Nutcracker was the very last thing I saw on your end before we cut out, but it was a enticing last image. It was it said a lot to me.
Another one too. The kids. I think kids
wow.
brought these home. Oh, there we go.
But I watched the season finale of South Park last night, and I even though I'm not totally in love with their new schedule, this is the second season that's come to an end since the whole Colbert debacle began, which kind of just makes time feel like it's flying. But these are only 5-episode long seasons, which is a significant change of pace for the show. And they have continued to eviscerate Trump from beginning to end, and this was one of the most is eviscerative a word?
Yeah, sure. Hey, yeah.
Now,
Sounds familiar.
Evisceratories. one of the most evisceratory episodes yet, I would say. I'm sad that there isn't going to be any new South Park for the next couple of months because this has been one of the most cathartic shows to watch during these fraught political times. But it was a great note to go out on. I thought it was one of the funniest episodes so far that they've done.
Fantastic. Yeah, they've been a relief. They've just been heroes. And I keep saying they're drawing attention that would have elsewhere gone to more vulnerable people. It's like anytime you're drawing the ire of authoritarians, they're focused on you. They're not focused on somebody else. So they really stood up. And I really wish the rest of the media would show as much courage. But, I guess at the end of the day, it was, the kids of South Park that came to save us and not all those self-righteous jerks who had always been lambasting them. So I guess that's something that the history books need to show.
Yeah, it's funny to watch this show that I've been watching throughout my entire life just like suddenly become this big cultural phenomenon. And so many of my parents' mid-70-year-old friends are like, "Oh, I just started watching this show, South Park," and I'm like, "Oh my god, about freaking time!"
Yeah.
Yeah, my greatest memory of South Park was like pretty early on. I don't know when it started, in the late 90s maybe, but there used to be like VHS tapes doing the rounds, and I think like season 1 or season 2, we found the VHS tape at our local video store,
Mhm.
and so our parents didn't know what it was. It just looked like a cartoon. But I remember like the butt probe and the cows and everything, and with Cartman, but they used to have these fantastic cutaways that they don't do anymore, except for the one with the Trump episode at the end.
Yeah.
But they used to have like these kind of cutaways or explainers before episodes where it was like behind the scenes, and it would just be like a young Matt Stone and Trey Parker in a hot tub with like a Japanese guy behind them, and they'd be talking about like how rich they were in Hollywood and stuff. And they never addressed the Japanese guy in the pool with them who was just sitting there quietly. And like, of course, it was just their friend, and they just said like, "Joe, wouldn't it be funny if you just like sat behind us, like naked, and we just don't address it?" Like, I just love that kind of thing. And of course, my brother and I were like hooked on the show from there. It was so ridiculous. I put it kind of in the same realm of like getting those VHSs and then find there in Ireland we used to, well, they were American product, but we used to be able to find like Late Night with Conan O'Brien best of clips as well on VHS in Ireland. So like we would be like growing up watching this kind of stuff, this kind of humor. And it was just so exciting to watch it because like we only had two channels in the 90s. We're like, my God, they're watching this in America. It's amazing.
Something funny that you can trace happening as you watch South Park over the years. The Matt Stone and Trey Parker have just gotten less and less enthusiastic about doing anything additional or commentary or anything like that. So in those early seasons, like you mentioned, they do these like hilarious little shorts that preface each episode, and they're great. And they only do that for the first like 2 or 3 seasons, and then they start doing full episode commentary for the DVDs, and then a few more years go by, and then they start doing like half episode commentary, and now like 20 years later they're just like, oh my God, you cannot pay us to do commentary. Like they just put out the episodes, and that is it.
Yeah.
Now that these guys, like, you can't blame them, they've made it, so like they don't want to sit down and keep doing
Yeah, well,
anything additional. But
it
what were you gonna
becomes a
say?
point of diminishing returns too. It's like
Yeah.
you almost kind of see that like after in the next. I never anticipated that we'd be doing this many lives and all this stuff, but there's just so much that we have to address right now. But like my Substack's called "I'd Rather Be Writing" because I kind of would like to get away from this and just go back to writing stories. And like Peter was saying before, just it'd be neat to take a couple weeks off and just not be online at all and just actually work on something for
It's
like one story for 4 weeks. That would be
Yeah.
unbelievable to do
It's
that. But I
weird
just had so much.
because I've forgotten how to write on Medium or Substack as a result of it. So it's just right now working on one long story, like, and trying to like say, hey, maybe I should write something on Medium right now. And it's like it's a completely different mindset where you're just kind of go, this is going to be a 4 minute, 5 minute, 6 minute read on this one topic. And when you're like devoting so much time to something that's huge on the side, turning back around and kind of saying like, do I really want to do like a takedown article on like, LinkedIn Bros or some crazy comedy or some emotional travel story and
Yeah.
just have that be like 5 or 6 minutes? It's like I think with mediums, like you say, with like striking like while the iron is hot, like you have to keep striking it unless
Yeah.
like you're 100% saying, okay, the thing I'm stopping for is kind of not just important like because it's an important project, but it's kind of important to you as a writer. As in, can I keep this one style and voice going for, I don't know, 500 pages? Like that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like the two types of writing are kind of mutually exclusive sometimes. Like when you're in the newsletter mentality and just publishing short content, it can be hard to force myself to do anything like longer, like you're saying. And just the opposite is true, where if I like you get into a fictional project, it's like, how do I even tap into that same feeling where I'm just
Yeah,
turning out newsletters each day and speaking for 5 to 6 minutes on each topic. I've definitely been
And
going
each
through a little bit of
platform
that
has a
challenge
different kind
recently.
of
What were
each
you gonna say?
platform has a different expectation too. There's a different expectation. So you got to kind of put yourself up in the Medium mindset for a while and the Substack mindset. And there's overlap, but then you're kind of watching to see. But it's sort of like the difference between driving on a highway versus like a leisurely drive down a country road with no other cars around. And it was
yeah,
an interesting idea. I would kind of like to at some point, yeah, it'd be nice to take a couple weeks off and just write something that's different. It might not even be better, but just
right.
something different. Yeah.
I used to be so stumped how many musicians would have their hits so early on, and then everyone could just agree like,
Mm.
oh yeah, their later albums aren't as good. It's all about their early work. But I think so much the reason for that is people are just driven by their passion early on, and that as time goes on, they've got more audiences to impress and more
Yeah.
prior bad reviews on their mind, and it just colors their music moving forward. And I don't think that I can particularly relate to any huge musicians, but there has been an element of that for me, where early on it was just this very exciting time of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what stuck, and now there's this element of, yeah, I could write this piece and I want to, but I don't think it's going to perform all that well with my newsletter audience, and
Right.
it
Yeah.
can be a little frustrating.
I was talking to Josh about this very thing where I think for about like 40 minutes we were talking about how, and this is not true for every writer on Medium, of course, but there is kind of like a niche of writers on Medium who were kind of life driven, what I learned in my life, kind of, storytelling, which happened to happen in very exotic kind of areas in politically in political upheaval or something going on, which did very well maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, and now it kind of feels like those stories have completely disappeared. Like I know I don't write them anymore because I'm just tired of like something that used to make $500 making like $2, and I'm like, okay, well, the hell with this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to save that for my personal projects. Uh, but even when I'm reading on Medium now, I'm really going deep and I'm trying to find uh, something like real there, and I'm not finding it. Even in like some of my favorite publications, there seems to be this thing where they're like defanging the writer just so it can like bounce around in the algorithm a little bit longer. Like, and
Yeah.
if you try and have any teeth or anything like that on the platform, it seems to like just fall flat. Like, I mean, you can like take down the man or anything like that, but any like real personal storytelling that kind of goes to the brink, you know, it feels like the editors or Medium wants them like to step way back from the edge, that you can barely see it. And Josh and I were both kind of like, we were concurring that like, it kind of feels like there's no kind of place right now for that. So hopefully maybe, and the same with poetry. The poetry is another thing that like
Yeah.
completely went off the cliff there, and that was kind of sad because I love writing music. I love writing poetry, even though I'm not good at it. And they all kind of inform each other. They're always a storytelling. And then when that just dries up completely, and you have to kind of pivot to kind of say like 10 things I hate about Generation X, which is something I do now. It's just kind of like, well, but the hell, fellas, I don't feel like writing here anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's that with the audience as well. It's like you want to like explain after everything you publish there, like I'm doing this for the money. you know?
I almost wish that the very best thing that ever happened to me on Medium never happened, which is the boost, and it's the reason why I think so many of my articles ever got visibility and how I started to really gain traction on the platform. But it was also the beginning of starting to ask myself, is this a piece that falls within the specific parameters Medium is looking for? And if it's not, why am I writing it? Because, like you say, it's the difference between earning $2 for your work and $500 for your work. And there was a years long period there in the beginning where there was just no real reflection I was giving to how well a piece was going to perform or how much it was going to earn. It was just cool to see any of them earn anything at all. And I would love to be able to tap back into that again and have
Yeah.
just pay no mind to how much a piece is going to earn, how well it's going to perform, how many views it's going to get, comments it's going to get. It's not the fun part of writing.
Boy,
Yeah,
that's a
trust me. No, go ahead, Walter. I spoke a lot already.
no. I was gonna say. I mean, that's really a fascinating thing because even during the boost, I was sometimes like, you get kind of frustrated. It's like I have to say it this way for it to do well, but really that is just the essence of writing to an audience always.
Yeah.
So it's even though it's sort of like a representative audience because you're writing for like the curators rather for the actual people. But you still it is good to practice that mindset. And so I kind of pushed through because I'm like, this isn't going to last. It's like nothing like this has ever lasted in the years I've spent writing where
Yeah.
you can do it. And it was so great because you could tell other writers, you're like, if you make this change, this thing, and this change, it will get boosted. And then it would if you knew
Yeah.
the program pretty well. I mean, the ones I was nominating, I was at times like 90%, if they were going through after the
Mm.
revisions. So that was a time that was like a good year and a half, 2 year period where you really could interact with the writers and they could instantly get this real positive feedback in the form of a boost was good, even if it only made them $100. They're like, oh, Walter knows
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
he's
it's great.
talking about. So that was a big deal. So yeah, that was good. I see what you're saying though. I had boost fatigue at times too, but now that it's kind of tapering off, I really kind of miss it. That was a golden age. I
Yeah.
do really appreciate Medium.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't really have a problem with the boost because all the things that have gotten boosted, I love and I respect those pieces, and the ones of mine. But it's actually the opposite. Is like when I look at the algorithm on Medium and I look at my pieces that have made over $500 or $800 or $1,000 without the boost, you know, that's and I see what the algorithm and the audience has chosen without the boost. That's the thing that scares me because at least the boost will kind of like push something that I wrote like from Broken Ireland to Broken Paris, which is like, people say it's a very beautiful story, it's a nice story, but like then something that is just so, I wouldn't even put them on the same shelf, you know what I mean? Can do really well. And the stuff that got boosted, or this things that
Yeah.
are similar to the boosted stuff who that doesn't get boosted makes like 50 cents. So that's the kind of thing with the audience, this kind of push and pull where you're not really sure. But like at least with, I hate to bring it up, but like, TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, it's like they are so open with their creators about what works and what doesn't work.
Hmm.
And I just feel with writers, they're just not, they don't really do that at all. As in, they change it, and then 3 months later, they explain the change.
Yeah. We need a couple more writing platforms is what we need. I mean, the more the better.
Yeah,
Now with
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. As some companies, like speaking of, it's kind of similar with Netflix and Warner Brothers right now.
Mm.
Maybe we can
Oh,
segue
scary.
into that.
Well, that's scary. I mean, they're just more control of any narratives that we're allowed
Hmm.
to, publish or be distributed. It's shouldn't be allowed. We have laws in the United States to prevent forming monopolies, but just those are all disregarded. So we'll see. It's all going to come down to this year. We're 11 months away now, so we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like that could really reshape entertainment. Like
Yeah.
at first I was pretty pissed off about the prospect of Netflix acquiring HBO, Warner Bros. But I think the idea of Paramount getting hold of that might be even worse. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on stuff. But speaking of that, I was going to say a movie I watched because for the most part, I don't know. Do you guys feel that there's a pretty major drop? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being old and cranky, but it used to be you'd get these kind of independent filmmakers show up and they'd just kind of explode onto the scene, and things would be radically different. But now it's just like everything goes through Netflix or it goes through, one of the other streaming platforms. And it just feels like, I don't know, we don't seem to have as, you know what you're going to get now. It's like cookie cutter stuff. In the past, every now and then you'd
Hmm.
see a film that was like just blew your mind. Now it's just
Hmm.
sort of like, I don't know, do you guys get that sense or not?
Yes.
I
100%. Like, I mean, if I look, I know I always talk about, say, Turkish movies or Nuri Bilge Ceylan, but then I also have to kind of pull myself back and say, okay, that's one Turkish guy who's made 5 or 6 amazing films in the last, I don't know, 15 years, but he's still just one guy. Where are the other Nuri Bilge Ceylans in that, in Anatolia? And then when I think about French movies, um, it's the same kind of, not the same actors, but it is kind of the same gang. So there seems to be like the same kind of problem there. So when it comes to US cinema, it's just I feel like there's 3 actors and they're not good.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't consider them good. I don't think Zendaya is a good actress. I don't think what's that guy?
Are are you saying that
Chalamet.
we should stop casting Pedro Pascal in everything?
Yes, I think we
He's
should
got
stop. Pedro Pascal is not. He's a character actor. He's not a leading man. I love him, but he's a character like actor. Like Kim Coates. He was in Sons of Anarchy and a few other things.
no, I don't.
Crazy bushy black hair. For example, for me, Pedro Pascal is like Kim Coates. Like he's a great character actor or something like that, where he's going to be not the leading man in it, but he's going to be the character that you remember from the movie. But yeah, also Timothy Chalamet, I don't understand. Um,
He
I
was
haven't seen any movie I've seen isn't that good, you know?
he was actually really, really great in A Complete Unknown. That was my favorite of his. I thought he
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
near near perfect
who
to
else?
me.
Who else? But like, could you imagine anyone else playing that role?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's
but
possible, yeah.
that's mimicry
You know?
again, though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you're not inventing anything if you're trying to act like a person who really existed. Who's your third guy? You said Zendaya, Timothy Chalamet, and who's the third? You said there's three. I was just curious. I'm kind
Oh,
of teasing.
I don't know that probably Austin Butler, probably.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I just there seems to be like this the gang from Doom. Jason Momoa, he's
Yeah,
fucking
he just
awful. Like Jesus Christ, like I don't understand the whole. There are so many great
yeah.
I'm sure there's so many great actors. Like poor Paul Dano's a fantastic actor, or
Oh yeah.
and Quentin Tarantino decided to
Yeah.
eviscerate him.
What
Like the one good actor.
what you were
Yeah, Paul
saying
Dano's
about
one of my
Pedro
favorite actors.
Oh. What you were saying about Pedro Pascal is like he should be like cast as Han Solo, like that kind of role. Like he's not the main
Right?
guy,
Yeah, like
but yeah,
check
he's got the
like Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. Like he stole the show in Game of
Yeah.
Thrones. In Narcos as like a double lead with the other guy, he was fantastic.
yeah.
And fine, I watched the Fantastic Four recently, and it's actually a really good movie. I liked it, but it's a bit much. And I liked him in the Nicolas Cage movie as well. Like I do like the guy, but as Ben said, he's in too many things.
It's funny how he was, like, so sparsely spread throughout Hollywood in the beginning, and then just, like, 180 moment at some point where all of the Hollywood producers were just like, "Can we get Pedro Pascal? How
Yeah.
about
This
Pedro
Game of
Pascal on the
Thrones
roll?
Mhm.
Oh, we're making a new movie? How about Pedro Pascal?"
Game of Thrones is
Oh
what did
God,
that.
is what I'm going to say. Yeah, Game of Thrones, but maybe I'm just being
Yeah.
way too cynical. But it could also be the kind of Hollywood sort of like, well, yeah, he's American, but he was also born in Chile. He's kind of, you know,
Well,
yeah, he ticks some boxes, and that's like Pedro Pascal, Daddy Pedro, I love you. But like that is how some people might see it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, when they're
but
choosing him in that industry.
It's been
listen,
kinda
John.
funny. It's
Go ahead.
it's it's kind of funny starting to, like, get a little bit older and, like, have more of a keen sense of, like, the way that Hollywood just pushes certain actors down your throat, and
Right.
it's like we don't even, like, have a say in it sometimes. It's just, like, there's this, like, behind closed doors meeting where everybody just simultaneously decides, "Is Timothy Chalamet the one we do this to next?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, let's put him in
But
everything."
like I want these people to have money. I want them to have
Yeah.
all the money, okay? Especially Pedro Pascal. He's a great guy. My wife is a little bit annoyed that I love him so much, okay? Um, she kind of looks at me sideways. But I never understood Jason Momoa. Like I know people who've met him, I know people who know him and say that he's a great guy. I've never met him myself. I've never met him myself, obviously, but just as a consumer watching the thing, I'm always just in awe, as in like, how does this guy have a job?
Yeah.
Like, it's just he's like, I'm biker, I'm Aquaman, bro, and that's it. Like, it's like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, he doesn't emote. But you know what you're saying is interesting though,
Yeah,
because there's never been more technology now. Like people have never had more access to inexpensive technology to just like make a movie that would have better
right.
effects than the original Star Wars. And that's like, where are all these
Yeah,
movies? It's kind of weird. It's like YouTube has them, I guess, to some extent, but it almost feels like a lot of that stuff is, I don't know, it feels like it's deliberately censored or we wouldn't see it. Because you could get actors who are actually better actors than Jason Momoa, and even Austin Butler's not that great an actor, really. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a
and I'm not hating because like I'm 37 and all these people are in their like 20s and they're beautiful or whatever. I mean, like, for example, Jessie Buckley, that Irish actress who was in Chernobyl, she's fantastic and she's part of the new generation. Like, she's amazing. So it's kind of like just trying to, figure out, is there anything beyond what you're giving us? Surely there's someone else. Could you give someone a role and then not make them the it thing for 2 or 3 years? Just let them act and make money, you know?
yeah, yeah, and yeah. Go ahead.
I was amused to discover this one actor a couple days ago who has played the role Hector in 8 different movies now.
Hector is
Just
this
play through a
from
Hector.
Yeah, just like he's just has this kind of look to him, like he looks like a bit like a Hector, and yeah, he just it's like a running joke with people who cast him now, just name him Hector. I don't know. He just kind of plays like the gang sidekick, like not the
oh,
super main guy. Just
it wasn't the Iliad version of Hector. It was just the name Hector he gets.
Yeah, he was in. I just pulled up a list. Hold on. He was in Fast and Furious, Seven Cemeteries, Rock, High Rollers. Yeah, he just
What's this guy's name?
fresh off the beat. His name is Noel Guglielmi.
Googly at me. Okay.
I'm not Googling that. Well, then AI is going to be like, what are you trying to say, Peter?
Yeah.
Did you hear about? Did you hear about somebody writing a political piece and asking ChatGPT to fact check it, and ChatGPT was like, "This hurts your credibility as a journalist because there's no way that Brian Kilmeade could be in the government, and there's no way that G. Piero has so and so position." And lo and behold, just reporting the facts.
Yeah. That
Oh, yeah. If you, because ChatGPT doesn't update in real time.
Yeah.
So it might pick something. Maybe, let's just say, for example, like maybe it does like 9 a.m. EST time. It will update every day. I don't know how it works. But like if you like um say something like, I was trying to like condense a tweet down as much as possible just to 2 sentences. And it was like, I can't remember what it was. This was like a month ago. And anyway, it said, well, if that did happen, you could like, maybe just have, these 2 sentences here, you can drop this. And I was like, no, it did happen. And I had to like do a whole like fact check with ChatGPT and get it to do a deep search and everything for it to like update itself. It's crazy.
It's gotten better over time. Like, it used to be the case that it was like 2 years behind with its updates and had no idea what was going on in the present date. But there are still moments where it's like bizarrely behind and like is just not aware at all of the realities of this administration. Like, you try to talk to it about it, and I'll be like, "That's fictional. That didn't really happen." It's like,
oh
no,
man.
this is just the reality we're living in. Sorry, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
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 But that the deliberate control of information is kind of an issue, but let's pivot. I want to talk about fun movies. So
Yeah, yeah.
the other day I watched the new version of Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro one, and that actually is a good one for Peter if you haven't seen movies in a while, because you must have seen some version
Yeah.
of Frankenstein over the years,
I
So
saw the scary one when I was a kid when I can't remember who starred in it, but
Boris
it was
Karloff,
like the remake of, huh?
the one with Boris Karloff,
I don't know who was in it, but it was like disgusting. Um, and I
Kenneth
remember
Branagh,
just,
the one with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro.
oh, Robert De Niro, that's the one. Yeah, it was with Bobby, and it was just. I'm sure it was good, but I was young when I watched it, and I was like kind of freaked out by it.
What about you, Ben? Do you have a background with Frankenstein movies or the story, or
I was beginning to like I when I last spoke about Frankenstein with you, Walter. I hadn't quite finished the movie yet. I had just started it. I was halfway through it, um, and my general thoughts were that it was a necessary remake. Like, I think the old ones are so old that there's a major disconnect for the modern viewer. So a necessary remake, but it didn't quite live up to some of the hype that I've seen from people. I think that I don't think Jacob Elordi did anything wrong. I think he was perfectly good in the role, but it almost feels kind of like arbitrary for him. Like I think there are many people who could have embodied Frankenstein's monster more effectively, and that he either just like wanted to step outside of his comfort zone or and do something different or something. But I don't know. Just thinking about everything that Skarsgård is able to do with Pennywise and Nosferatu, I feel like they should have given it to him.
Yeah.
I He's been in a lot lately, so I can see why maybe not, but man, the way he portrays those monsters is just so incredibly effective that it left something to be desired from, Elordi's portrayal.
I thought the most recent version, what it really leaned into, all the other versions seem to try to find something sympathetic in the scientist Victor Frankenstein, and this one was the one that was just he's unabashedly just an evil piece of shit, you know. And Oscar Isaacs is and he's just delusional. But there's a couple scenes. I mean, I remember when we were watching Young Frankenstein, the Gene Wilder film, which is basically the spoof shot for shot
Yeah.
remake of like some movie that came out
That's
before.
yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah, yeah.
But even that one, when you're watching it, I was watching with my wife and she started getting really upset. And it's just like, this is a heartbreaking story. I mean, and you got, once you get to the tale of the monster, and because he's basically just a child. And in this new version, the guy's tormenting him, and he like decides within a couple days he's just like, I gotta just burn this guy alive. He like the most cruel thing, and he's like trying to get. He's like, give me your leg. He's like trying to, and it's like watching a cruel person try to train a dog. It's like the fucking dog doesn't know English. Stop hitting the dog. Like you
Right.
asshole. And these are
Yeah.
the type of things get me all worked up where I'm just like, I'll physically intervene and then I'm the one who gets arrested somehow. It's like, it is illegal to torture animals, you fucking monsters. So you're watching the end. He's like torturing the poor monster, and then but he's not a monster. He's angelic, and that's the other thing. And that comes up in a lot. In this one, it leans into that. The Kenneth Branagh one, the monster is kind of evil, and there in the other ones, there's also this moment in the Frankenstein movies which is really interesting. You go from powerlessness and then it inverts. So, like at first, the doctor has control over the monster, absolute control, and he's cruel. And then later on, that power dynamic inverts, and it's the monster who has control over the doctor. And I think that might be the most important. It's like the invention of science fiction and all that. But that theme is in Frankenstein. I mean, it elevates. And I mean, and it finishes, and you're like, oh, you've just unleashed this like all powerful being into the world. And it's like, in the modern day, we would have just forgot all these earlier parts and just go straight to this guy who can regenerate and has superhuman strength and just talk about that. But like all that other, like the old school, like philosophical aspects of it, I was impressed by that. But like you said, Ben, I wasn't totally blown away by it. It's not like one I want to watch over and over again. It makes me inclined
Yeah.
to read the book, really, and I haven't read that book yet, so
Mhm.
maybe I'll find time for that.
It kinda washed over me a little bit. Like, I don't know if it was just that I was a little bit tired when I first began it, but it was only a couple weeks ago now that I watched it, and I'm just realizing that I'm hazier on the details than I should be. I can't precisely remember how it ends, and I'm certain that I did watch it end.
Well,
Oh,
for me,
Yeah.
it fits into like all these other Frankenstein movies at this
yeah,
point. So I'm sitting there watching it, and it's just sort of like, and I was because it's Guillermo del Toro, and I was gonna compare it
yeah.
because he originally had been slated to do the Hobbit movies, and I just feel kind of like we were robbed because it was nice when Peter Jackson did the Hobbit movies, but a lot of times he did like callbacks that were just like the exact same way he did the scene in the Fellowship of the Rings, like the scene where the ring falls on his finger. It's like we've seen that already. So
If I could have any time in my life back again to like relive that time, it would be saying no to going to see the Hobbit movies,
That's so funny.
because I mean, it was just awful, awful,
I'm
awful filmmaking. Um,
I'm very sympathetic to the Hobbit movies, but sorry, go on.
okay, I know. Look, but, Ben, you got to admit, like I know, like with Star Wars, we had at least with Star Wars, there was like a so it finished in 1980, And then the remake was made in 1999, and they had the new tech and everything, and it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But like this is like what, like Lord of the Rings 2003? This was only what, 9 years, 10 years
Yeah, that's
to
what.
the Hobbit movie or something. And it was like, hey, let's just forget the mistakes the Phantom Menace made and just go balls to the wall, terrible CGI, in fake New Zealand. And but the other problem is, it's like none of the characters mattered.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, none of them matter. The dwarfs don't matter. The dragon doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I think one of the biggest things for me was that throughout my entire time watching Game of Thrones, and every other time you even bring up the show today, people will talk about Lord of the Rings and how great it was and how it set the stage for Game of Thrones. And if
Mhm.
you're used to that HBO level of production value, and then you go back to the original Lord of the Rings, it leaves so much to be desired. Like every single Game of Thrones fight scene just blows Lord of the Rings out of the water. Even the ones that are supposed to be the most singularly epic they're not that old, but they have by now gotten to a point where they are pretty dated looking to the modern viewer. And The Hobbit, I think I had a much more fun time with because the visuals of a movie are so much of what makes it immersive. And
Mm.
I don't remember it deeply well, to be honest, but
Oh,
Lord of the
I
Rings doesn't leave a
remember.
whole
I
lot
would
of
put
an
I
impression on me
remember.
either, and I don't know, I remember the dragon and the visuals were strong. It didn't change my life, but I do think that I actually had a better time with the, Hobbit trilogy than,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, like I'm yet.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Walter.
No, I'm glad The Hobbit exists, but the trick I found of enjoying it, because it's like 3 hours of just like mediocrity is too much to
Mhm.
sit through. It's just sort of like, and that's what makes you, because you're just mad. You're like 2.5 more hours to this. But if you just break it up into like 40-minute segments, and like you watch it over the course of a week, then it's like, this is actually pretty entertaining. I don't have to sit and endure that I'm watching this mediocre thing.
Is that me? Is that you?
It's
Is that
kind of nice.
everybody?
You're looking at the arc. Oh, can you not hear it? Because that, for me, I meant me. And so you just
Okay.
break it up and you watch it. I guess I didn't understand what you were asking me.
Well, you broke up right now.
Oh no, I broke up. Oh shoot, shoot. I was
Yeah,
I was going.
yeah, could be
I
good.
didn't break up here in my house.
But Walter, like that's how I recently rewatched Sons of Anarchy, the TV
Mm.
show, and I remember I loved it like 15 years ago. I didn't love it like a Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or Chernobyl level, but I remember kind of liking this show. It's created by Sutter, starring Charlie Hunnam, and it's
Mhm.
about like bikers in a fictional town in Charming in California. And I started watching it again with my wife like a month ago, and what a mistake that was, because like we're still not finished it, and I'm just watching it, kind of saying like, what is this? What is this? Like, I mean, how was this? Like, I do it with the past as well, not just with like new stuff. Like, it's such terrible television compared to, say, what we got with Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or The Wire or anything like, or what's it called? The one about the gangsters, oh, The Sopranos. Um, it's just, I'm sitting there watching it. It's like they start shooting when they don't know what to write next in the script, you know. So they have to have like a gun battle. Yeah. So there's
It's
also
just
that.
it's funny when you realize that, you were a terrible critic when you were younger, but I have that happen to me over and over again where,
Yeah.
like, I've got all these fond memories of a certain show or movie, and then, like, the nostalgia just guides me back toward it, and I'm watching it, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wow, this is kinda dog shit."
He's like, wait a second, those bikers are racist.
I was going to ask, speaking of sword fighting scenes, like the one that comes to mind when I think of sword fighting scenes is always the conclusion of The Four Musketeers, the one with Michael York. And it's also got Christopher Lee in it. So this film, though, is about from 1975, maybe. I don't know if you've
Okay.
seen that one, but it
I saw the one in the 90s with
no.
Kiefer
This is
Sutherland.
it's the Three and Four Musketeers with it's Richard Lester did it. And
Mhm.
what strikes out, because it was the first time I saw them do a sword fight where the duelists became exhausted. Like in the sword fight,
Mhm.
they're just, because they're fighting so long that they start to just like they're leaning against stuff and they're just like panting. And I don't think I've
Mhm.
seen that since then. Where and it's like naturally that would make you very tired if you were fighting to the death with somebody. And so they're just like leaning on things and panting, and finally you had the dramatic conclusion. I don't know. It's pretty neat. It's one to revisit, but it doesn't have special effects like modern films, so maybe it's past its time now. I'll have a
Yeah,
read
I don't
though.
know. There's some like emotion to it, you know. There's like some clips going around on YouTube at the moment, kind of like kind of explaining to like people like me, why films just look so terrible now.
Right.
And I don't know what's going on with the director of photography in any of these films, but just the way it's been shot doesn't feel like real life. Like even like with Ben's camera right now, or maybe with mine as well, is I'm like I can tell he's on a camera and he's in a room and there's a glare coming in from somewhere and it's a little bit, it's not perfect HD or whatever, but
Oh,
that's kind of like what makes like I know that's
Yeah.
Ben, I know that's she, but there everything now is so perfect that like you're like nothing really hits home anymore when you're watching a film, you
It's
know?
too
For
lifelike.
me.
It's too hard
Yeah.
to distinguish from the real world. I think that's some of the issue. I was watching, Annie Hall the other day, and it's not even a particularly, visual movie, but there was just this, one scene that was, shot on this, dock by a bay or something, and I was just, like you say, really remarking at the way that, cameras don't really create something that evocative anymore. It's just, like, too realistic. Like, you can tell that there's, like, a certain imperfection that's creating the, visual you're seeing. Um, I enjoy both. I definitely do see, both sides of that, but,
But can I
that
ask you a question? Do you, whenever you're writing something that might be fictional, I don't know, like, oh yeah, like if you have something like that you're writing and it's fictional, and even if it's just a project that you're never going to publish, do you ever sit down and kind of wonder which actor could play this role if it was a movie? And I just want to ask you, like, how many times do you ever say Timothy Chalamet? You know, like or Jason Momoa, because I never have, but like I will kind of say like, oh, Mads Mikkelsen would be good for that, or you know, an older Daniel Craig could be good for this person, or
yeah.
like it's not because like I'm still relatively young, but I'm still these actors. Even if the character in my project isn't, you know, they could be 21, they could be the same age as, Timothy Chalamet or Barry Keoghan or whatever. But I just can't see them, I don't buy into them. The only time I bought into one of them was probably Barry Keoghan in the Banshees of that movie about Ireland. I thought he was good in that, but rarely like I thought Gleason and Farrell were, they carried that film. I'm just not finding anyone, say, of in their 20s who can carry films like they did in the past. So
I'm
that's a long question.
I'm determined now to, write a story where every single character is Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, being Pedro Pascal, it could be that kind of a version of it.
So
That's
and
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
played by Pedro Pascal.
but that might tie
Okay,
into
Walter, if you're wondering why I keep bringing up Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, is because that there's actually a feud going on right now on YouTube Shorts and TikTok. So when you post this, it's going to really help you with the algorithm.
oh, good.
Okay,
I'm glad.
if
But
I just say those names consistently.
but that could tie into what we were saying before, how this, like the studio system as it exists now, it just kind of there's only one thing it's looking for. So are there even roles out there for young people to emote? I guess I'm not finding too much. I mean, it's just not, they're not just making those films. I mean, because when I was growing up, as I was, like Robert De Niro, and that guy, Robert De Niro just sits in a scene and seethes. He doesn't even have to do anything. He just sits there and just energy comes off of him. And you're
Yeah.
right. I can't think of too many people working today that are similar. They don't bring that same kind of classic Hollywood energy anymore. Maybe they're out there. I got to think a little more on that.
Did you say that you
Like I
saw
was just
Sinners
trying.
yet?
I haven't seen it yet. I saw it on the menu. I
I
gotta
I
get
can't
my family to
I
watch it.
can't I can't recommend that, highly enough, and,
Okay.
backtracking slightly, I know I've said this before, but I'm not one of the people who's as discouraged by the current state of cinema. I felt like there was a significant period there where we were in the immediate aftermath of the writer's strike, and there was a noticeable dip in quality. But 2025 has been one of the first years in a while where I've been pretty darn pleased with the general state of cinema. Like, it isn't every movie that I see that's groundbreaking, but when I'm looking around hard enough, there's been quite a bit. And I think even as a non-horror fan, Sinners is a movie that will feel so fresh for you that it hopefully can
Yeah.
argue that conception.
Yeah, I just think it's not so much cinema that I'm finding it hard to kind of fall in love with. Like, there's always good films every year. It's more about I suppose I haven't found my actor yet. Do you know what I mean? My
Oh,
Robert De
Dano.
Niro.
Yeah.
It could be Paul Dano, but like, I
He's so
haven't
good.
found my De Niro. Or even like my Mel Gibson, like, who, because he did the Lethal Weapons thing, so he would have been popular for someone in the 80s or something like that, or Bruce Willis. There's nobody like that at the moment where
Yeah.
you can kind of hang your hat on and say that's your actor or actress. That's
Cillian
kind of it.
Murphy's pretty. Cillian Murphy's pretty dang good. Every time
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen him, and then
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage.
and then
Peter
that
Dinklage.
made me think of Tom Hardy too, because I just had the kids watch Fury Road. I think I talked about that
Oh,
last week.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys gotta watch it. And my daughter, she's just like, I'd hate to live in this world. And she's just like, if there's no gas, why are they all driving those gas guzzling V8s? And it's like, yep, that's the question. That's the essential question of Mad Max.
Another terrific actress whose name I seem to always forget. The one of the lead actresses in Ozark was in Apartment 7A. I want to say her last name is. No, I always confuse these two. It's not Sophie Thatcher. Um, Sophie Thatcher is actually also a really terrific actress. I've been a huge fan of everything I've seen her in. Um, Blonde hair. I always blank on her name for some reason. She was also in Fantastic Four. She
Oh, I know who you mean then. I don't know her name
Vanessa
either.
Kirby.
she
Better?
played the Silver Surfer, and it was easy to miss her in that
Oh, I
role.
know her. Yeah.
Like, you can't
Yeah.
easily
She's
tell that
good.
it's her. But I think that was the only role I actually saw her in where it didn't really employ her talents very meaningfully. But everything else I've seen her in, I've been really thrilled with. Like, Ozark was just like a powerhouse performance. I was really, really impressed with that one. Um, yeah, they're out there. I think there are quite a few good actors that we have to turn toward.
It just takes a second to come
Yeah.
up with
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, we just they just need I don't know. I just need to maybe just watch more movies. Um, it's kind of, I'm very passive right now with my
Yeah.
movies, where I'm kind of, sitting down on my couch, kind of complaining that I'm being fed, but wanting to be fed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then when I am fed, I'm like, no, not this.
Yeah.
What restaurant do you want to go to? Oh, I don't care. How about this one? No. But you just
Yeah,
see we're
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of in the era of Adrian Brody too. Did either of you guys see? I haven't seen The Brutalist yet. Have you seen that one?
Oh, he's
No,
great.
I haven't seen.
I
I
haven't though.
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. He's sometimes he's good. He is good. That the pian you can hardly watch The Pianist with it. I mean, that's just a tough movie. And he's every film he's in though. Sometimes it's like he feels like he's trying a little too hard for the Oscar. That's kind of my sense. But when he hits it, but like the other
He's
day,
good. He's good.
the other movie I subjected my kids to yesterday was Face Off.
Oh, wow.
Nicolas Cage, John
That's a
Travolta.
good one.
I just
That's a good one.
I wanted my
I should.
super intelligent daughters. I wanted to get their opinion on Face Off, but they're just like, Daddy, this movie's fucking stupid. This movie's.
Have you seen? Show them Cliffhanger, the Sylvester Stallone one.
Well,
And when she falls, no.
I want to do like the peak Cage trilogy of Con Air, The Rock, and Face Off.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
want to make that because I think there's like a Christmas element to Con Air. There's a couple scenes because of the bunny. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box? So it's a Christmas movie, you know? It's Die Hard. And they're making me watch. Oh, that segues because they made me watch this movie called The Night Before Christmas, where night was spelled with a K. And I just like, it's like this knight from 13th century England got teleported.
That is a great idea. Hang on. Night with a K.
That's
Yes.
already been made.
Yes. Medium, here I come.
When I'm watching this movie with the kids, it was one of those like Hallmark romance movies, and I'm just like, okay, we can watch it as long as I can rip on it the whole time. And like, she hits the knight, like the girl hits the knight with her car, and then she's like, because he's like just walking around befuddled with his sword and armor. And she decides that he can come and just stay at her like guest house. So first of all, she's got like this $50 million property, and she just gets this like apparently mentally ill homeless person to come and live with her, and then they fall in love. That's basically the movie. I was sitting there talking like this to the girls. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, don't do that. Don't invite some crazy guy to come live with you just because you hit him with your car. It was
Okay, it's a real movie. I just googled it. Okay, you're you're not having a stroke. Fantastic. I had to check it out.
He's trying to be heroic though, like his quest is to do something nightly. So he's walking. This is the thing that's bizarre about this movie because he's walking. He wears regular clothes, but then he still insists on carrying his sword with him all the time. And like the cop starts, so it's like the cop's like, "Hey, mentally deranged person with a sword," and he's like, "Hi," and then but then like the one time he goes into town and he doesn't bring his sword, like somebody tries to steal a bag like from an old lady, and he tackles her. And I said to my girls, it's like, they had to leave the sword at home because if he'd have brought the sword, he'd have murdered that guy. And it's like, I would have liked to seen that. That would have made this a much better movie. But it's just sort of like in adherence to their dumb plot. They just leave him. They don't even explain why he left the sword at home that time. So that made me mad.
Any movie that has Rob Lowe
is
and a
good
knight
or
and
bad.
Vanessa Hudgens. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
Are you aware of Violent Night?
Yeah.
Violent Night.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know.
good.
I don't know that.
It's
You
I
know,
want
I
to say
swear to God, like I'm not a recluse. I really am just writing the whole time. So when I do watch anything, Violent Night, okay, this is a real thing too.
What's that guy's name again? The actor from Stranger
David
Things?
Harbour.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's great in it. He's great in it.
Is
Yeah,
it
he's
is it
so
actually a
perfect for that
real
role.
movie? It's not like a piss take, right?
No,
It's like
this
it's a movie
really
you can
exists.
watch.
Like every American Christmas movie has to follow like the Die Hard. And I always say it's like Home Alone is like Die Hard. You know, it's the same sort of thing. And Violent Night is the same thing. It's like Die Hard, except John McClane is Santa Claus and he
Right.
has to murder all the people. And then he does do this Home Alone shit too, where he's like setting up booby traps in the house. It's really weird.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, I remember Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. I thought that was, even though it's a Halloween movie, I thought that was really good. And what's his name, Michael Caine in A Muppet's Christmas Carol. That's fantastic. And Love Actually, Will Ferrell, Elf, and the ones that you mentioned. But that's as far as my Christmas knowledge goes. With
Nicolas
movies.
Cage, Powerhouse Trilogy.
One
In Violent Night's also got John Leguizamo. He's another underrated great actor. I'll watch anything with John Leguizamo, and he's usually only in it for like a scene, and even just like one scene with John Leguizamo, and I'm just like, yep, that's good. That's enough reason for me to watch this movie.
one other topic I briefly wanted to touch on, since I know you're a fellow gamer. Have you been playing anything recently, or mostly just focused on the writing?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been playing Polytopia, and I downloaded War Thunder because I needed something to shoot.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then I uninstalled it after like 3 weeks because I got too good at it. No, they got to a point where I'm just blowing up all these tanks, and like it's like Raphael 2005, and I'm like, geez, I'm killing kids, you know.
Yeah.
It's just because it's an online game, like, and it got to a point where I don't know, Ben, with games, it's like I feel like I need a game console
Yeah.
so that it's there, and then I sit down, I have my time to play it. When it's on my phone, I always have to uninstall them after 3 or 4 weeks because they become too distracting. But Polytopia, War Thunder, Online Chess, and SimCity, and there's another game on my phone. They're the ones that I've been playing. Oh, a zombie game as well. A zombie survival game on the phone. Last Day on Earth. I highly recommend it.
Something I've been realizing about some of these war games is that they kind of get a bad rap as like I mean, yeah, obviously they depict some pretty violent shit, but the void that they fill
Mm.
for me is very similar to the void that the game Dungeons and Dragons fills
Right.
for them. You know, it's like it's role playing. It's a situation that I have no interest in ever participating in the real world, but there is a certain excitement in like being playing with a whole bunch of other people and like, okay, you've got a strategy, you've got to hide behind this wall and so and doesn't make me want to join the military. If anything, it makes me want to join it even less. And I'm glad to be able to get these
What it does to me
strange
is
urges out somehow.
it makes me kind of like worried. It's like, oh my god, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Good at this. I gotta
As
put this
long as it's
down.
not,
Yeah,
as long
I
as it's
definitely
not
agree
hooked
with
up to some real drones or something, and then that's coming too, probably.
no.
I mean, you'll just be doing drone. They'll just have kids playing video games, and it's really that should be a short
Oh
story.
god.
They're really doing drone
Yeah.
warfare.
My
No,
fun guy.
I have it. My brother is. It would be great to write a short story like that. I think all my short stories, whenever it gets into the creative space, are always very far away from violence. At least like what we're used to seeing on TV. But even in movies these days, and I've had this conversation with Ben, movies or TV shows, whenever violence is depicted, I'm finding it harder and harder to watch it, you know? And it's sometimes when I feel like when violence arrives in a movie or a TV show where it's just not 100% necessary to the story, but it
Yeah.
still happens, it bothers me a lot. And I don't know what's happened in the last few years where it's really began to bother me, Like I feel like that interviewer shouting down Quentin Tarantino all those years ago and him saying like it's not my problem. And it's like, oh my God, now I'm on the other side of that. What's happening here?
It's so strange how it's like become a prerequisite in so many shows and movies. I never actually watched the show, but this came up in conversation the other day. I did read the book called 13 Reasons Why, and I learned that in making it into a Netflix show, they introduced this like horrible sexual assault scene, and I'm like thinking back to the book, and I'm like, wait, I don't remember that at all. And so I look it up, and it turns out at some point down the road, they must have talked to the original author and said, "By the way, is it okay if we take your source material and like add this horrible rape scene into it, or like, ugh."
Yeah,
Hmm.
And,
yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just the idea that that conversation had to happen at some point, and like this person who wrote their book and it takes off is on the bestseller list. Netflix approaches them, "Hey, we want to make a show of your movie or your book," and then they do some shit like that. It's like, just I was just thinking for a little while about what a strange position that must be to write a book
Yeah, it's kind
and
of
have that happen.
it's one yeah, it's been one of those things that like I've been struggling as well. And I'd say the thing that I'm working on where it's kind of the feedback sometimes you get from people is kind of like, yeah, I know that that's why the character is doing that, but will the reader know? And I'm like, yeah, but you're a reader and you know that because you read it. Like, what the, do I have to signpost everything? Has anyone ever lived a life where, and even if you don't pick it up, it's like in this particular project, it's real life. And in real life, you don't always pick something up, you don't
Yeah,
pick things up. So it kind of, that kind of, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but this kind of thing, like, oh, we have to like show people,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So they know that it's bad. And I'm like, what? Why? We should know it's bad.
we show violence. Show them that violence is bad. Is that what you?
Show them the violence, show them the assaults, show them everything, just so they know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, who's this really for? It's also a problem I had with like A Clockwork Orange, where I was
Oh,
watching that movie, and I'm just kind of like, you know, all right, I understand it's like a satire almost, I'm guessing about,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like it becomes a little bit too much where it's like,
Yeah.
uh, who was this made for? Who was this supposed to entertain? You
That was
know?
one of the least appealing movies that I've ever tried to watch. On a couple occasions, I tried to sit down and watch that one, but like The Godfather, I never made it more than 30 minutes or an hour into that one.
That's a little too hard. I wanna mention though the first thing you said, like when people are, like the reader getting reader feedback. I think it's called is it called Finding Neverland? There's that movie with Johnny Depp where he plays John
Yeah,
Barry,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he does his play, but then he insists on bringing kids in to watch because he's like he knows adults aren't going to laugh at the right place, and then it'll be ruined. I thought that was really a really neat scene because kids will just be like,
Mhm,
"Oh, there's a person pretending to be a dog," ha 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 ha. Where if it's a bunch of
mhm,
adults, they're
mhm,
like,
mhm.
"Huh?" And that's sort of like because I've written a lot of kids books, and I always write my books for my kids, so it's all based on their reaction, and what they like is dialogue, and they like the father to perform the dialogue. So like these books I'm writing for my kids are more like they're like not quite a screenplay. It's still a story with a little bit of direction, but
Yeah.
it's not going to work if you don't kind of perform it. But then you
Yeah.
give it to an adult who like publishes children's books, and they're like, "Well, this isn't what we want." I'm like, "Well, did you read it to a kid?" It's like ask a kid if it's a book that they want, not like you. So that's kind of one
Right.
thing. I also wanted to mention though, just like the violence aspect. I mean, like Home Alone is considered like a holiday classic when it's just these kid brutalizing people. Like the degree to which we've just accepted that, and like you get to like the John Wick movies and it's just like headshots. It's like 2 hours of somebody getting shot in the head. And it's just sort of like, yeah, no wonder. I was gonna pivot to Die Hard though, and it's like even Die Hard's like a less violent movie than some of the movies we watch. It's arguably less violent than Home Alone. And I'll say there's one line of dialogue in Die Hard that actually justifies the whole movie because it shows like the opposite of toxic masculinity. When he's sitting in the bathroom and he's just like, "Tell my wife," and he says she's already heard me say I love her 1,000 times, but she never heard me say I'm sorry. So tell her I'm sorry.
Mhm,
And it's like
mhm.
that's actually the message. That's actually and then it's like, but then the movie ends with him restoring his marriage by dramatically killing the bad guy, and the other cop overcomes his fear because he once shot a kid. So now he's willing to shoot
Yeah.
people again.
Well, to be fair, if he'd been a badass for so long, and if I was the wife in that situation and he didn't kill the bad guy at the end, I'd be like, wait, what? Now you're going to start being good? Start being good after you kill the guy, okay? So then we can go home.
Timing. Yeah.
Timing, yeah, timing. Chill out when we get home, but you chill him now.
Oh man. I give It's the same guy. Like, do you ever see the movie Witness with Harrison Ford? Did you see that?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah. I've seen that
you should
movie
it almost
years
would be
ago.
worth revisiting because it's a pretty good little thriller from the 80s, like Under the Radar, where Ford plays a cop who has to hide out in the Amish community. But one of the Amish guys in Witness is the same bad guy in Die Hard. So I keep thinking somebody should go through and like chop up Die Hard with Witness and make like a new movie where the Amish guy just freaks out and kills everybody.
I know, like we probably, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, so I just want to like get this point in quickly. I wanted to ask you, is in the back of my mind, do you ever feel like with reboots that the people who are making the reboots don't actually understand the source material like at all? Like I was watching like J.J. Abrams almost got it with the first Star Trek reboot, and what I never understood about the people who take even in like Star Trek Generations or Deep Space Nine or things like that, I never understood like how they didn't understand the fan base. Like we think of the Enterprise as actually a character, you know,
Mhm.
and why the ship wasn't utilized more as like a character, like a la the Millennium Falcon, how it will just show up at the right time or something like that, or like a noble steed, in a fairy tale that always kind of shows up. And it's one thing that like was bothering me a lot with a lot of the reboots, whether it's Star Wars or anything like that. Is there any kind of reboot that you've watched where you kind of say like, God damn, if they gave me the chance, I could knock that out of the park.
Do you want to take a shot at that, Ben? Do you have any of those?
I have felt for a little while like I could do a slightly better job of the Game of Thrones finale. I think I would have a hard time closing every single plot, but I think that one specific change in tone would have just changed everything. I think that if it had just gone a darker direction, that would have been enough to satisfy a lot of fans. But the crazy Hollywood redemption arc that we ended up getting in that one, yeah, I do earnestly believe that I could have at least handled a few of those plots better. But
The thing that came to mind, Peter, when you mentioned was the Netflix did a version of Watership Down, and the thing was that they changed. Oh, it's a great. You don't know that it's a book about rabbits, and but
No.
the whole plot of the book is these rabbits have to leave.
Oh, I do know it. Okay.
Yeah, Richard Adams. But all the rabbits are male, and they're just like, so one of the central plot elements is it's like we have to find mothers. It's like otherwise our new warden's going to fail. So they have to find, female rabbits. But in the Netflix version, they changed one of the male rabbits to female because they didn't think it was gender inclusive enough. And I'm just like, look, I applaud the idea of gender inclusivity. I applaud it. But this is a story about a group that is all male and needs to find female. So like this isn't so it kind of fits exactly. And it's like, did you read the book? And there are some examples that are astonishing. It's like, how do these guys get funding? Like that Night Before Christmas movie. It's like all they did was come up with the title. They're like, oh, we got a good title. Instead of night with an N, we'll spell it with a K. Now we just have to write a script. And they get money somehow.
I'm writing another short story right now. I'm trying to write as many short stories that I don't publish just to kind of get my chops, as sharp and whatever. And about titles, the title that came up, I was just kind of like generating it was battery life, And I was just in the kitchen and I was pouring my coffee and I was thinking battery life. And I remember I was worried, like, what if I never what if I die and I never publish my book or something like that? So then I started coming up with this idea where there's this guy, he's trying to be a writer, he's got a wife, whatever, and then he's in his home office. Then all of a sudden, he starts seeing his neighbors across the street banging and in commotion, and they're looking over at his office, and he doesn't know what's going on. And his wife calls, and she's worried about him. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? It turns out he's dead, but somehow she's able to talk to him. And the whole premise, and you can see his own body, and the whole premise of the movie would be, or the book, or the short story would be it's like a writing prompt. What do you say when there's 6 hours of battery left to the person you love? And the whole book would be that conversation, kind of like Phone Booth, like the Colin Farrell movie, except not as action or fun, but a lot sadder. But I would love just to kind of take that and say let's see how long I can write this conversation and see if I can discover anything, for 200 pages, maybe. Who knows?
What we should do is we should bring in stories. So we should do a different type of deal where the three of us bring in a story and read it to each other and then offer some feedback. I don't think anybody's doing that. We could bring in a 5-minute story. And then just to kind of go with that
that was my writing prompt today, trying to get the fire going, where I was there's so many stupid other ones as well. But that was the one where I actually kind of kept I probably someone made a movie about it probably before or wrote something. But that was the one that kind of kept going. And I was like, man, okay, I can't write on Medium right now, or I can, but I just can't. Maybe I should just do some short stories on Medium, So I'll look around for some publications that do that and put them out.
Go to Submittable.
I've got a couple errands that I need to run, but it has been a delight talking as always, and we would love to have you back on in the future, Peter. And that story idea sounds fun.
Okay, guys, thanks for having me on.
Great to see you, Peter. Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good one, guys. Happy holidays.